You just survived a life or death situation. You used your firearm for self-defense. The adrenaline is rushing. Lights and sirens are coming. And now, the police are asking you what happened. Hey everyone, welcome back to Faith and Freedom, where we talk about biblical truth, constitutional rights, and responsible freedom. Today, we're tackling a situation which I honestly pray none of you ever have to face. But if you carry a firearm for self-defense, which should be the only reason you're carrying a firearm, you need to be prepared to use it. So here's the million-dollar question. Should you give a statement to the police after a self-defense shooting? Now, most people would say, of course. I mean, it seems natural, right? That's how it works in the movies and, on TV. You feel like you have a natural obligation when you're innocent to tell your story. I mean, surely the cops will understand and everybody gets to go home. Well, except whoever it was that attacked you. But let me challenge that idea, because this is the reality. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. That's not just a phrase from Law and Order. That's your constitutional right under the Fifth Amendment, the right to remain silent and not to self-incriminate. Now, I have personally been in situations where employees of the government have twisted my own words, and I'm not just talking about like in a courtroom setting, maybe not even in front of a judge, but it was enough to realize that words can be dangerous if used carelessly, even when you've done nothing wrong. So here's what I recommend, and what a growing number of legal experts and firearms instructors would recommend. Don't give a full statement until you've had the chance to talk with an attorney. Now, does that mean that you don't tell anything to the police? Well, not exactly, because there are a few critical things that you should say. You want to establish these three things. For one, you were the victim. Number two, you feared that your life or someone else's life was in danger. Three, you want them to know that you will cooperate, but only after you have spoken with an attorney. So what does that sound like in practice? It would sound something like this. Officer, I was in fear for my life. I will fully cooperate, but I need to speak with my attorney first before giving a full statement. Now, I'm not an attorney, but I do feel like it's very important for me to talk about this because I was involved in an incident back when I was 16 years old that has haunted me to this day. And it's actually the reason that on my 21st birthday, I left my job at lunch and went down the street to a place called Lock and Load, and I purchased my very first handgun. I literally did not wait one day after I was of legal age to purchase and carry a handgun. I went on my lunch break, bought that handgun, and came back to work. So what happened? When I was 16 years old, me and my best friend, we worked together at our city's recreation department. Specifically, we both worked as concession stand workers. And at the end of our shifts every night, we would meet up together at a gas station that was on the way to our neighborhood. We also lived in the same neighborhood together. But anyways, every night we would stop at this gas station, maybe go in, get some snacks, or, just hang out. Honestly, me and him both smoked, and neither one of our parents knew. Well, my parents knew, but I did my best to try to hide that as best as I could. And so we would typically stop at this gas station at night, maybe smoke a cigarette or two, talk about how the night went, just stuff like that. We were teenagers chilling in a parking lot. But on this particular night, we went to this gas station, and he actually had to get gas, but I did not. So I pulled up to basically the front door of the store, and I was just kind of waiting in my car for my friend to get finished putting gas in his car. And while I was sitting there, and first off, that's the first mistake. When you are in a parking lot, you never want to just sit there in your car in the driver's seat with the vehicle running and be looking down at your phone, not paying attention to what's going on around you. But what can I say? I was a 16-year-old idiot. But as I'm sitting there, not paying attention to anything that's going on around me, a man walks up to the side of my car and he knocks on my window and, motions for me to roll it down. And so, I rolled it down. Again, I'm not really thinking clearly. I'm 16. It's proven that the male brain does not finish growing until a man is at least, I think it's 25 or something like that. I still don't think mine's done. But anyways, I went ahead and I rolled my window down, and the guy asked me for a ride. He said, "Hey man, I need a ride down the street over there." No. And I was like, "Hey man, look, it's late. I'm about to go home. I'm just waiting for my buddy to get done in the store, and then we're going home, man. I really don't have time to take you." Well, then he lifts up his shirt and shows me his gun. He says, "No, you don't understand. I really need you to give me a ride." So, of course, I was like, "Well, hop on in, buddy." So I let him in my car on the passenger side, and I took off. I was driving down the street, and when he said down the street, it literally took maybe 5 minutes to get there. It really wasn't that far, but I was driving as fast as I possibly could, and this just kind of goes to show my luck. If I had been going 5 over in any other situation, I would have been pulled over and received a ticket instantly. But on this particular night, I was hauling tail intentionally, trying to get police officers to see me. I was trying to get pulled over because I knew where it was this guy wanted me to drive him. It was a very scary part of town. It was, it was the hood. It was this apartment complex that is notorious in our area for, being rife with gang activity and drugs and all that. And I already knew this guy had a gun, and he had essentially just kidnapped me and carjacked me at the same time. So I had no idea what was waiting for me at the end of this little road trip. And so I'm flying as fast as I can. And wouldn't you know, there was not a single officer in sight. So what's actually kind of funny about this is that every night at the end of our shift at the rec center, if we had leftover pizza that hadn't been bought by anybody, we were allowed to take that pizza home with us. And that particular night, I had like 3 or 4 slices, and they were sitting in my back seat. And I guess the guy could smell it. And so he looked around in the back seat and he was like, "Man, you got some pizza back there?" And I was like, "Yes." And he said, "Man, you mind if I get some?" I'm just like, am I allowed to say no in this situation? I mean, he was genuinely asking me as if I could have said no, and he would have just had to have accepted that. But, out of the kindness of my heart, I allowed him to take all of the pizza that I had left. But anyway, sorry, getting off track, but I just thought I'd share that little bit of light in that dark story. But we get to the end of this road trip. I get him into the neighborhood that he wants to go to, and thankfully, that's all he wanted, was just a ride. He obviously had no intentions of hurting me. Of course, he did rob me at the end. Made me give him everything that I had in my wallet. But I think at the end of the day, I escaped with my life. He might have taken the little bit of money I had on me, and he might have scarred me for a very long time, but he didn't take my life, and that's something I'm very thankful for. But that, like I said, it did scar me, and to this day I am still terrified of that gas station in particular, but just gas stations in general. One thing you will never see me do is just park at a gas station. It just makes me extremely uncomfortable, and I don't like staying in parking lots, period, anymore. But yeah, if it's a gas station and I'm getting my gas and I'm leaving, and when I'm getting gas, I am not on my phone. I might be pretending to be on my phone, but no. If my phone is up, it is because I have the camera on and I'm looking behind me to see if anybody's trying to sneak up on me. I'm just super alert at all times now. But if I'd been in that same situation now and I were carrying my firearm, which I am always carrying my firearm now. I literally do not go to the bathroom in my own house without my firearm, which sounds extreme, but hey, people can break in at any time. And with my luck, it's probably gonna be whenever I'm doing a number 2. I know, TMI, you can't spell Tim without TMI. But I'm sorry. Anyways, if that situation were to happen today, it would have gone a lot differently, especially because I'm an adult now. It's not just me that I have to care for anymore. If my daughter's in the car with me, that's a whole other thing. That story would not even be close to going down in the same way. And I'm not going to get into particulars here, but if I'm in fear for my life, I'm going to take action, and you should too. There's no reason you should feel like you have to allow these terrible things to just happen to you whenever you're carrying a firearm. Why else would you carry one if you're not going to use it? That's why I'm constantly telling people, if you own a gun, you need to be shooting it as often as you can. And I understand ammunition is expensive, but you've got to practice. You cannot be timid. You can't be scared to hold your own gun. I know a lot of people who have owned the same gun for years and years and years, but whenever you see them carrying it, it's like they're carrying a newborn baby for the first time. They just scared to death that they're going to accidentally shoot themselves or something. You can't be like that with a gun. You need to be comfortable with it. It needs to be an extension of yourself. Because whenever you are in these life or death situations, you need to be able to react on instinct, okay? Because your brain, I promise, is not going to be working properly. So it needs to be second nature to you. But anyways, to get back to this story and the whole topic, because of that story, I am well aware of the fact that something like that could happen again, because it did happen to me. And me being a kid, which at 16, I feel like I really was a kid. But me being a kid did not save me. Me being in a relatively safe city did not save me. The only thing that saved me that night was the grace of God. I truly believe that there's going to be a time whenever you may have to use your firearm. And in that situation, I honestly hope that you do. But I'm not a lawyer, so I cannot give you the legal advice on this particular topic. But thankfully, I was able to get this legal advice for myself. So recently I asked this very question to the YouTube channel called Armed Attorneys. Armed Attorneys is a fantastic source for legal insight when it comes to firearms and self-defense law. And not only did they answer my question, they actually named an entire episode after my question, which I think is just awesome. My head got about like this big whenever I saw the title of their latest episode. I was like, oh my gosh, they answered my question. Anyways, because they were gracious enough to answer my question, I thought it would be pretty neat if I featured the clip of what they said in this video today, so that I can feel confident in giving you the answer to this question, on whether or not you should give a statement to police once you have used a firearm in self-defense. So watch this video.
This one only you're going to answer because people have heard me yap about it before. In 2 sentences or less, should you give a statement to police after using a firearm in self-defense? You haven't talked to a lawyer. What are you allowed to say?
Well, you definitely should say that you had a fear for your life, death or serious bodily injury.
Don't say it like that. If you say, I was in fear of death or serious bodily injury, they're going to be like, click. Okay, buddy.
All right.
But, the sentiment.
All right. Well, the answer to that in 2 sentences or less is that you should definitely let the police officer know that you were the victim of a crime, the intended victim of a crime, and that this crime put your life in jeopardy. Those are the 2 things you absolutely should say.
In your own words that sound natural.
Yes. Anything else that you say, and this is going to be really iffy, is you have to make with almost absolute certainty that it cannot be disputed by the physical evidence, an eyewitness, a surveillance video, or anything else that the prosecutors may dig up to say, look at this.
Yeah.
This is completely against what he said happened.
Right. Which is why keep it short and sweet till you've spoken to an attorney. And then, maybe you keep it short and sweet until you actually sit up on that stand at trial. We don't know. We look at the facts. All right.
So again, I wanted to share that clip because they are attorneys. They can give legal advice. Now, they do happen to say the exact same thing that I'm saying, which is pretty neat. So what is it that they're saying? They're saying, do not try to explain yourself completely in the moment. You need to get your attorney first. This is extremely important. This isn't about hiding anything. It's about protecting your God-given rights and being wise in a moment of high emotion and high legal vulnerability. And like I was saying earlier, in that moment, yes, the emotion is going to be high. The adrenaline is going to be high, and for good reason, because not only is your actual life on the line, but if you survive, the rest of your life is also on the line. So if you are in this situation, whenever you are faced with deadly harm, I do pray that you have trained yourself at least to the point of being able to respond instinctively. But for what comes afterwards, whenever the police arrive and the police are asking you questions, remember this: don't panic. Say only what is necessary, that you feared for your life. And 3, ask for your attorney. Look, carrying a firearm is a right, but it's also a huge responsibility. So knowing what to do afterwards is also your responsibility. Remember that you're not just defending your life, you're defending your freedom in court. Thanks for watching. If this video helped you and you think it has given you clarity and a peace of mind about what you need to do in this worst case scenario, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and drop your thoughts in the comment section below. And a big thanks to Armed Attorneys for tackling this question for me, and the link to that full episode is in the description below. And remember to stay armed, stay alert, and stay free. God bless.
3, 2, 1.